another day, another crossover SUV car launch, and here in this case is the brand new Kia Sonet. So what exactly is a Kia Sonet and what's it doing here in Kia's lineup? Well, the Kia Sonet will be replacing the Kia Stonic, which is why now we have here this new small crossover SUV. So one thing to note about the Kia Sonet is that this will be competing with the Toyota Raize, the MG ZS, the GDG X3 Pro to a certain degree because of its broad price range. But anyway, before we talk about the pricing and the features, let's first talk about the way the car looks. So what we have here, by the way, is the range-topping SX model. So with the SX, you have your full LED lighting along with these nice set of LED daytime running lights. So also with the SX variant, you also have here a very sporty front bumper, which is characterized by this sort of faux skid plate effect provided by the silver trim here sa baba ng kanyang front bumper. And then as you move towards the side, you're gonna see nice two-tone 16-inch wheels. So being the SX variant, by the way, meron ka ng option to have this painted in black, yung kanyang roof pillars. And then moving towards here at the back, you're gonna see a rising belt line, which is then complemented by a black trim piece here to give it the visual effect of a window here sa kanyang rear tailgate. Finally, moving towards the rear end of the car, you're gonna see a full-width LED taillight cluster, which gives it a very unique visual identity sa kanyang rear end. Yeah, in terms of the looks, I do really think that this is one of the nicest in its segment ngayon. Very purposeful, very sculpted, and very striking to look at compared to its competition. So yeah, I think that's a good time na ngayon for us to hop inside the brand new Kia Sonet to see how the interior is like compared to its competition. So here in the interior of the Kia Sonet, as you're gonna see here, immediately upon entering the car, the interior feels very modern, but more importantly, this interior feels very cohesively built in terms of the build quality. So, unlike the Toyota Raize where it was made kasi by Daihatsu, ito kasing Kia Sonet was made by Kia themselves pa rin, despite being a car for developing markets. As a result of that, yung kanyang mga interior materials are, yes, they're still hard plastics, but unlike in the Toyota Raize kasi, the panel gaps here are much more consistent, much more cohesively built. So wala kang areas na ang laki ng panel gaps ng plastic. There's better tolerances here in the Kia Sonet. And that's even reflected by the door thud here as you're gonna be able to listen now. Yeah, that's very solid, and even the doors actually feel weightier compared to the one in the Toyota Raize. Anyway, here in the interior of the Kia Sonet, it's also very modern as mentioned. Granted kasi the model that we're currently in is the range-topping SX, which means you have two 10.25-inch screens, which really helps in making this interior feel very modern and also premium to a certain degree because of how techy or very futuristic based on how the interior layout looks. So, this infotainment is very familiar to you at this point if you've been in any Hyundai Kia car in recent memory. This of course comes with Apple CarPlay along with Android Auto, along with a 6-speaker sound system. Also worth mentioning, by the way, is that all variants come with a reverse camera, along with a fully digital instrument cluster. Here nga lang in the SX variant kasi, is a screen talaga as opposed to the one in the lower variants, which are basically a segment-type display or a dot matrix display with a 4.2-inch multi-information display sa gitna nung dot matrix layout niya. Still a modern look pa rin for the interior. But one thing to note here, by the way, is that despite this tech-filled interior, there's still a generous amount here of physical controls, which makes the interior very easy to use, very user-friendly, combined with the well-designed gauges and the well-designed tech features. This is a nice interior that's really, I think, best in class pa nga in terms of the interior feel compared to its competition. Other features worth talking about here, by the way, is that the Kia Sonet SX also comes with wireless charging, USB-C ports here at the front and rear. So basically, everyone's able to enjoy their own USB charging port. Also worth mentioning finally is that being the SX, you also have here a sunroof. So as for the back seats in terms of the rear space, it's actually pretty good for a small crossover SUV, and it's pretty much on par with the rest of the competition like the Toyota Raize, the GDG X3 Pro, the MG ZS, and all of those subcompact crossover SUVs. Again, this is a small crossover SUV, but trunk space I think is well utilized relative to the car size. So finally, also worth mentioning is that this range-topping SX, by the way, also comes with the DriveWise suite of advanced driver assistance systems, which gives you stuff like automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, lane following assist pa nga sa totoo lang, which basically is lane centering at this point, along with automatic high beams, making this one of the most comprehensively equipped subcompact crossover SUVs in terms of the advanced safety features. So having talked about the tech features, the interior design, the interior quality, and also the rear cargo area, let's now talk about the car's driving experience. So as for the driving experience of the Kia Sonet, in terms of the powertrains, what you have here is a 1.5-liter 4-cylinder gas engine, which is basically shared with the likes of the Hyundai Stargazer, the Hyundai Creta, and the base versions of the Kia Seltos. So basically, yung mga kotse nin are part of the Hyundai Motor Group, kaya it's shared with both Hyundai and Kia, and therefore that basically means that in terms of the after-sales part of the vehicle, you can pretty much expect the part to be very common, very abundant, and at this point, basically, the car will be very reliable and very, sobrang tibay na niya. I like this engine in the Stargazer and the Hyundai Creta, and even the Kia Seltos. So let's see how this engine performs in this Kia Sonet, which is of course a smaller car, a much nimbler car. So there's a long straight here after this curve. Let's put on the gas. So as you're gonna notice there, yes, this car has a CVT, or what Hyundai Motor Group calls their Intelligent Variable Transmission, or IVT. And I love the IVT sa mga Hyundai Motor Group vehicles, and that's no exception here in the Kia Sonet. So as you've noticed or heard kanina, the engine, or rather the CVT, did a really good job in simulating a traditional automatic transmission with actual step gears. So as a result of that, combined with the generous amounts of sound insulation, the thick glass, I think, compared to some of the competition, and what you've got here basically is a subcompact or even a small crossover SUV sa totoo lang. That's, I think, the best in class in terms of refinement, in terms of the chassis rigidity, because even if we're going to these roads na hindi naman ganun kagandahan yung kanyang smoothness, hindi ma-shaky yung katawan niya, hindi shaky yung structure niya. It's very rigid. Of course, what I mean is relative to the class, kasi syempre you're gonna expect BMW levels of rigidity and refinement. And so basically, yun nga, here with the Kia Sonet, this I think is the best in terms of the driving dynamics part in this segment because of the overall refinement that this car has compared to all of its competition. One of the good things then as well with the Kia Sonet compared to the competition is the handling aspect. So, I'll be honest, totoo lang, there's nothing sporty with the way the Kia Sonet drives, but compared to the general competition, the Kia Sonet has a degree of precision sa steering wheel niya, though it's still on the light side compared to what I would consider as fun to drive in cars like these. Yun nga, it's still too light for me in terms of feedback, then at the same time, it's not that rich in terms of feedback. Again, because the car is light, or at least lighter than the Stargazer and the Creta, the car feels very nimble. Suspension, I think, does an okay job in terms of the body roll. It's on the soft side yung suspension niya. So we're gonna be pushing the car in this corner. There is body roll as expected in a car like this. But body roll, I think, is progressive. Hindi siya, let's say, doesn't feel like the car will tip over. It's progressively induced yung body roll niya. So there's good body control with this car. But on the upside of that kasi, with that soft suspension, the car deals really well with bumps. You have to remember that this isn't a big car. This is a small car, actually a little less than 4 meters in terms of length. And so, it really pays for a car like this to have good suspension tuning because a car with a short wheelbase will mean na if you're gonna go over a bump, even before your front end settles, yung rear end agad will feel the impacts of the bump. Kaya the ride will tend to feel unsettled with cars with such a short wheelbase. But here in the Kia Sonet, the ride quality is actually really good. It's really doing a good job of dealing with bumps. Let's accelerate hard in this straight. Yeah, the CVT and 1.5-liter gas engine is working really well in the Kia Sonet, being a lighter car nga, of course, again, compared to the Stargazer and the Hyundai Creta. Another straight here. Yeah, it sounds nicer compared to the 3-cylinder ng Toyota Raize, even the engines that you would find in the Geely GX3 Pro, and even the Chang'an CS15 and the MG ZS. So here's a long straight after this corner. Yeah, this drivetrain is really good. This car is the best for me in the class at the moment. Finally, as for fuel economy, well, we really can't talk about it that much because this is just a first impressions drive around here at Vermosa in Cavite. But considering the Hyundai Stargazer and the Creta are one of the most fuel efficient in their respective segments, I won't be surprised then if the Kia Sonet, which is basically sharing the same engine as those two cars, will be just as fuel efficient or even better. Good job, I think, on Kia's part with the Kia Sonet. I think it's a more compelling product compared to even the Kia Seltos, wherein the range-topping SX is a bit expensive for me at 1.6 million pesos. This one's really well packaged, well priced. Which, by the way, as you're gonna see the pricing ngayon, the Kia Sonet is really squarely aimed towards the Toyota Raize. Yeah, I really do think that this is currently the best in its class, though it is yet to be verified when I finally take this car out on a much longer term and on a much longer drive.